Sean, do you think you'll make it to Valhalla?
Oh, probably not.
No, me neither. Me neither. I don't think
not as hot as Portman.
Yeah, well, maybe my arm will though. Like Lady Sif's arm, you know. Did you say not as hot as Portman?
Yeah.
How about this?
Oh God.
The screaming goats were one of the best parts of this movie. I thought they were going to be really annoying, but they ended up being absolutely hilarious. We're going to talk about Thor: Love and Thunder, as well as a number of other bits of Marvel news and some other fun stuff, as well as in my opinion, a really bad trailer that we're going to get your live reaction to right after these words from us.
Everyone is part of the family at this point.
I didn't do my fan fiction idea that I had, so this movie was garbage. What is this?
You are a monster beyond all belief. Put them all in the thing and let them do the thing. You know what I mean?
How? You're lucky to have me back.
You're never gonna get 60 million people because you're not a Super Bowl. Shut up.
So chaotic.
You're not a Super Bowl. Shut up. I feel like people don't understand what that reference is, but you were talking about the Oscars.
Yeah, Oscars are just like, oh, it's not getting as high as ratings as the Super Bowl. Of course it's not.
Welcome to the Guy at the Movies podcast. I am Joe. He is Sean. This is episode 106. Please dial in and enjoy. We're about to have some fun tonight talking about trailers, movies, all the fun stuff that you expect from us every week. Sean, first of all, how the hell are you feeling?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you for accommodating the schedule change to my really weird sickness that just kind of came and went. But, I'm feeling better now.
Well, listen, there's a lot of bad things it could be right now, so I'm glad that you are doing better.
Really happy it was not the famous one known as monkeypox.
Yeah, monkeypox. I'm managing some communications around COVID for our campus right now, and it is starting to pop back up because this latest variant seems to be a bitch.
The B-52s.
They just keep changing. They're like, all right, well, those whatchamacallit, Roman numerals aren't, or whatever they were calling them, aren't getting anywhere. So
Greek letters, yeah. They're just letters, like spinning the wheel for letters and numbers, and they're like, yeah, screw it. This sounds.
They're going to start using hurricane names soon. Variant Sean.
I'll take that. It'll be popular for a little while. Sounds good.
There you go. That works. Popular in all the wrong ways, but which also might be what we're getting from this trailer. We're going to watch the trailer for The Munsters. You have not watched this yet. You said you saw some of it on silent.
Yeah, I saw some of it on mute because I was watching the kids. So, so we'll see how this goes.
I am very excited for you to see this because it is a trailer. It is there. All right, let's watch the trailer for Rob Zombie's The Munsters, coming to theaters in September of 2022 without a specific date yet. But here we go.
Uh-oh, it's on silent.
Can you hear it?
No. This is exactly how I watched it. I was like, this sounds familiar.
This is not good. Oh, man. Hold on. Technical difficulties. Please bear with us as we... Thank you. All right. Let's start over.
There we go. Okay, very nice. Retro.
Oh, yeah.
Rob Zombie, the director of House of a Thousand Corpses, Halloween, and Rejects, brings you the greatest love story ever told.
Oh, I don't like the sound of that. Think of it. The brain of a super genius transplanted into the body of a perfect physical specimen.
I want a man that makes my blood run cold. A man that every time he enters my crypt, it's like a stake through my dead black heart.
I can whip you up a humpy down in the lab.
Oh, no. Remember what happened last time?
He was batty.
I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Looking for a vision, a queen,
True love. What exactly do you want?
Is Herman Munster in there? I knew the moment I laid eyes on you that you were special. I understand if you don't feel the same. I'm just a regular gal living a boring, normal life.
If there's one thing I know, is that the rest of the world melted away as soon as you appeared in my life.
It seems Miss Lily is truly in love.
Oh, come on. You know, and I know that we got to get rid of that bozo Herman Munster.
Greetings from Transylvania. That's a strange way of saying hello.
Oh, I guess we're gonna have to get used to it.
Sean, your initial reactions, your facial expressions were amazing during that.
So he like to just put it like in one way, he's going for something, and there's a creative choice that's being made here. I think it's the wrong choice. I don't think it was really like sort of painful to watch that trailer. You know, the Munsters was always like the Addams Family knockoff, regardless of which one came first. I actually have no idea, but like regardless, the Addams Family was the one that hit just better, like between shows and then, you know, the fact that there's been like a million properties made of the Addams Family, and I think this might be the first Munsters movie I've seen, but it really is. You know, I always admire Rob Zombie for his swings, even though almost all of them are misses. It's like one of these things where it's like, I got to give it to the guy. This one is just like one of those where it's like, I can't imagine anyone sort of going in there taking this seriously. This might be another one where teenagers don suits and like, you know, show up in ironic fashion. Because I can't imagine this one. This has Cat's level of that's where the money's going to come from in irony. Like people are just seeing this out of like just the
Morbid curiosity,
most morbid curiosity imaginable.
I think it looks horrendous. Honestly, it looks so bad. I was watching this. I was doing a trailer reaction earlier, and I never watched them before I do that. And the whole time I was just like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It just to your question, when did the Munsters start? When did Addams Family start? The Munsters started, or I'm sorry, the Addams Family started the first episode September 18th, 1964, and the Munsters were 6 days later.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
I knew they were like this, like almost practically a companion piece. Okay,
Yeah.
so it wasn't even a competition almost, unless it was like, you know, like they knew what was going on behind the scenes. It was always the Munsters just felt like this, like, you know, like they're doing in this like offhanded sort of like party goofy one where the Addams Family was also goofy, was also a comedy, but like had a little bit more like glue together with it. This one, just like the Munsters always seemed like chaos. I've only seen like a couple of episodes of each, but so I mean, this is a more chaotic movie than the other ones. But like, God help us, this looks just it looks unwatchable. Honestly,
it really does look unwatchable, and it's funny because I think back to when they did the Addams Family movies in the 90s. I thought they were well done and a good update for the Addams Family show. This, it just hit me what this kind of reminds me of, especially because of the sound that is used and sound design and shit. Number one, you can't hear the characters a lot. Like when, what's his name? Eddie Munster, was it? Started talking. I was like, what? Is that Eddie Munster? The
Herman Munster. Eddie Munster is the son that apparently is not in this.
Oh, right. Yeah, because this is before, you know, this is the love story. It's a prequel.
That's not a good idea either.
But they... the sound design and all that, like it just seems really bad, and it kind of reminds me of what they were going for when they did the Flintstones live action movie. Honestly,
yes, they both have the same intentional cheap qualities that they're going for, but I think this has it like, you know, Flintstones sort of has like the cheap charm of it, where this like I don't know, it's already been live action in a show, and so, you know, just go with that. I mean, I know you didn't want to, he didn't want to do like black and white, and it's like that kind of like does take away a lot from it, honestly. But this one is like this intentional cheap that I can't stand, and like it's like honestly like Studio 666, the Foo Fighters movie, or I'm trying to think of other ones that are just like this intentionally cheap, goofy thing where it's like, haha, get it, it's cheap. But,
well, and intentionally cheap can work if done well. But I feel like here, especially like when you're talking about how the Flintstones worked because it was doing like the intentional cheap whatever, it doesn't. It was the 90s. Isn't that when that came out? When
it was the 90s. Yeah,
the Flintstones movie.
Halle Berry was her first movie, so yeah.
It's kind of wild to me that like it's 2022 and we're still doing this. I feel like he's just an interesting director. I mean, he goes from things like The Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses to doing like the Halloween reboot to he was rumored to do a Broad Street Bullies movie for a long time about the Flyers in the Philadelphia Flyers National Hockey League team in the 1970s because they were known as the Broad Street Bullies because they were so tough and like always fighting and stuff. Like he was going to go do a sports thing, and now he's doing this weird reboot prequel of the Munsters. I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Yeah, he's an odd fellow. He's like he makes these creative choices that just don't work. Like I'm rooting for him. I want him one day to like connect, but. All
right, let's dive into what we've been watching, and we have to talk Thor: Love and Thunder, the fourth Thor film. The second one from Taika Waititi, the follow-up to Thor Ragnarok, starring Chris Hemsworth. Obviously, we have Natalie Portman returning, Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, and Christian Bale as Gore. Sean, were your thoughts on this? Because I shared some of my thoughts last week without getting into specifics, but let's just also tell people right off the bat, it's a Marvel movie. It's been out for 5 days, so like you should have seen it already because we're going to spoil it. Yeah. But let's do our little horn. Nothing but quality here at the Guide to Movies podcast.
Love it.
Sean,
I realize, do the people listening know that that's a spoiler alert tag?
I just told them we were doing that.
Oh, that's true.
Hit me with your thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder.
I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I think it's really difficult to say that it wasn't a lot of fun. I think that's, I can understand the humor not landing for some people. There may have been a joke or two that don't land, but like you said, the screaming goats were used very much properly, where they didn't go too far with it. But even when they did go too far, it was perfect. I noticed like there was the moment where, Christian Bale's character finally grabs the Bifrost and then like they land on Asgard and the goats scream again, even though it's a very serious moment, but they only do it lightly as they land. And I was just like, that's the perfect pepper. I've never been too much of a fan of Waititi's humor, except in these Thor movies. And so I'll keep it there. I didn't agree. Like the criticisms, this is the second week in a row where I just disagree. Like where I have some criticisms, but I disagree with the main criticisms. One of them being, the tone felt off. I'm like, well, sure. Like the villain was there and the villain wasn't funny. Like that's how this goes. But the rest of it was funny. And, sure. In Ragnarok, Blanchett is having a feast and is hysterical the whole time. And, Bale is instead just like kind of straight up terrifying, which, does work. And it really works for it. And I liked the tonal whiplash. I think there were a couple of difficult plot holes I had that probably could be explained through Thor mythology or something like that. Like they're at a wishing well where Natalie Portman's dying. Wish her to be alive and then you're good. I mean, I understand that her narrative had to be that she died, but I that was the one thing that got me where I was just like, I'm like looking at this. I'm like, am I the only one that sees this? She could stay alive right here. Like, I understand that the plot wants her dead. So, right on. But that was like my one issue. For the most part, though, I really did walk out of this having a fun time. It's being unfairly criticized a little bit. Like the people that are, putting this akin to this movie is the reason for the death of Marvel. It's like shut up. Like absolutely shut up. That doesn't really make any sense. Like, first of all, like if we want to talk about death of Marvel, which is dumb to say, but like if we want to talk about death of Marvel, it's that these movies are being more individual and there's not a plan that connects them into the next phase, which I think is fine. I like it. I'm enjoying myself when I go and watch Marvel movies. And so like, I don't understand why like that plan thing has to be obsessive and everything. I had a very fun time with this. I'll do the annoying thing where, is it as good as Ragnarok? No, I like Ragnarok more. I'll do, okay. Yeah, I'm doing that too. I'm that annoying as well. But I still had a fun time with this. And it will be interesting to see where, Thor goes, because they did the Thor will return thing. And I'm like, well, that seems like, obviously he's going to return. But, I don't know if a third one with this style will be good. The last thing I'll say, this is visually stunning. The fights and the action were kind of wonderful, like really well done for like the action movie, like, you know, just filmed well. And, you know, those were fun and entertaining. But yeah, all in all, like pretty solid. It's a good movie.
I can't disagree with you. I had a lot of fun. I thought it was I had a smile on my face the entire time. It is just, there's a lot of cheap humor in it, but it works because it's coming from Thor. And I think the whole thing is it's like Thor's this big god and the tough guy or whatever. And the jokes he's cracking are absolutely hilarious. I just thought it all really worked. I thought, you know, Korg was great too. When it opens with like Korg giving the speech, like, let me tell you about all that, like telling the story, that was great. I thought Valkyrie was utilized very well in this. I really enjoyed Tessa Thompson. They're not just like relegating her to the background. She was kind of part of the trio here. Well, the four of them moving forward, if you count Korg as well. And I really liked Natalie Portman. I thought she did a solid job with what she was given here. I thought the story worked. I thought it was just, you know, really fascinating how they utilized the story to move Thor's character forward and focus in on, you know, what? You know, he chopped off Thanos' head. He, you know, was part of the Avengers and all this stuff. He's been going around the universe, the multiverse, in, you know, stopping shit from happening. But what's next? And it's sort of like, what's the piece that's missing? And they talk about love. And then, of course, you know, we get the child and all that. I adored it. I had so much fun with it. And that's what I want. You know, like we've gotten a lot of heavy Marvel movies in past, I'm thinking back to like even Eternals was pretty heavy in terms of tone. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is pretty heavy. Spider-Man's a lot of fun, but it's also pretty heavy. Like there's some shit that goes on in there, you know. It's what I expected. I wanted a nice break from all that, and I had a good time.
I really appreciated Natalie Portman's performance, especially the humor from it, because there's like the scene that everyone's talking about that's saying is bad, and I think is really good, is like her figuring out the catchphrases. Oh, yeah. And everyone says like, oh, this is cringy dialogue and stuff. And I don't know, like it was kind of like just fun seeing like, you know, Dr. Jane Foster with that dumbass mask on being like, it's my first bad guy. Yeah. And I thought that was like this like funny kind of adorable moment. It's like, no, I didn't laugh at her like at that moment. It was not like actually haha funny, but there was like, I had a smile on my face. It was good to see her, for love of God, for once let loose a little bit.
Absolutely. I was on another podcast with Talking TV's Thor recap podcast, and it was brought up that one of the individuals on there didn't appreciate a lot of the cancer humor. And I understand that, but I also approach it from a different angle. I think that what they did pretty well, and this is also a Taika Waititi thing with how he takes very serious subjects and plays with them, and you either like how he does it or you're offended by how he does it. You know, Jojo Rabbit being an example of that.
Yes.
But I the way that I view this is that they were giving her ownership, the character ownership over her condition, over what was happening to her, this terminal illness. And so like the jokes that are cracked and stuff like that, like when she goes, I have cancer, like kind of like whatever, that's a very real thing. Like, how do you tell people that? How do you tell people about major, you know, illnesses that you have or major things that happen in your life, like looking for that time, especially when you're on a boat on like the Bifrost going, you know, with screaming goats and an axe that's leading the way, like and even like the humor between the Molinar and the axe. Of course,
so great.
It was just funny. Like I really enjoyed this movie, and I'm gonna go see it again. I think I want to. This is gonna be the one that I first go see on a screen, or the first movie I see on Screen X. Put it that way, the one that has like the 3 screens or whatever.
Oh wow!
I want to, yeah. So it's
That'll
like
be fun.
I want to check that out. Top Gun probably should be the one, but Thor will do.
So I also just want to talk about Russell Crowe, because there's been debates about that one, because apparently there are takes where he played it straight and then he played it the way he did, and that's like almost like a George C. Scott Kubrick thing in Doctor Strangelove, which is just like, you know, he played it completely goofy and he said, don't put these in, play the ones where I played straight, and he put the goofy ones in. And I think that was perfect. I'm like, was his accent good? Of course it wasn't. No. It was terrible.
That's part of what makes it funny.
That was so beautiful about it. It was just so perfect, because he's just like this like goofy idiot, and Zeus just turns out to be that, because that's the portrait they wanted to do. That's where, like, you know, like that's the you know, Gore has a point where it's just like, the villain has a point where like, oh no, Zeus is an asshole and is like, I don't want to cause a panic. Of course I know he's coming here. Like it's just the perfect level of like, just silliness that worked really well for what that character was supposed to be.
And it's also another thing like, never meet your heroes. Like it's one of those, subplots there. We should talk about the mid-credit scene and the after-credit scene. So again, spoilers, but you made it this far. The mid-credit scene, we are introduced to Hercules. This had been rumored forever. And the rumor for a little bit, or I guess the internet's wish, was that it would be Henry Cavill, that this would be how they would introduce him.
A brilliant move.
Yeah. But instead, we got your boy.
Brett Goldstein. I was so happy and didn't recognize him with the goofy ass like helmet at first. And as I'm like, of course I'm typing it up while the rest of the credits are going, being like, okay, someone online is going to have it. But as I type it up, I was like, wait, it kind of looks like Brett Goldstein. And so then, I heard some theaters erupted in applause. Our theater was kind of like, who? And because he did have a strange accent as well, and he didn't say the C word 8 times like he does in as Roy Kent, but in Ted Lasso. But I like truly loved it. I think it's like a great idea. He's he's very funny, but also like very intense. So like a role like Hercules could definitely work very well. So I'm all for that.
Yeah, I when I saw him, I was like, oh my God, I know who that is. Why can't I place it? And then I had to look it up after. I'm excited to see where they go with it. Kind of interesting that Zeus is still alive and all that jazz. So we'll see what happens. The final scene, the after credit scene, was just a beautiful one, I thought, with Natalie Portman heading up to Valhalla. So she's now a god essentially, and she sees Idris Elba's. Oh my gosh, what's his name? How do I always forget? Heimdall. Yep. Which was really nice because we do get some call outs to Heimdall in the movie. His son is a prominent. Well, we need to talk about this scene, by the way. The kids at the end when Thor gives them the power. I was losing my shit because that was wonderful. It's like that was such a smart move. And at first you see the girl that has the wand, the princess wand, and she's jumping around as like she's killing the things. And then the next one is the bunny.
The bunny was great because I thought it was like a good throwaway joke where they're all lifting up like weapons, and then she lifts up a bunny. And I was like, oh haha, she has a bunny instead. She's probably gonna freaking die. Like all of a sudden, like you see her like the boys style, like launching the bunny.
I loved it. What did you give it out of your ratings?
So I gave it a B, only because like there's like those little things that like little tiny things that bugged me. But for the most part, I really did have a good time, and so it was a fun time with me. Yeah,
I gave it a 5 out of 5. I can recognize the criticisms, but I think that my enjoyment just completely overshadowed everything. I just had a really good time with it.
I should say I usually look over those criticisms. Yeah. But for like, and I'm always like one to like, just look over like the tiniest ones. And like that one just caught in my hair while I was writing the review.
Listen, as soon as you like when one hits and it sticks with you, like
so bad.
It's tough. I also watched The Forgiven. This is a movie that's in limited theaters and then it's going to streaming this week as well. This stars Ralph Fiennes and Jessica Chastain, as well as Christopher Abbott. And Matt Smith, oh God, what's his name? Caleb Landry Jones in a really fucking weird role, by the way.
Naturally.
Really weird role. But The Forgiven is fascinating. So it follows a couple who are driving to a party at one of their friends in Morocco at this big grand villa, and they end up hitting and killing a young Moroccan man. Who was selling fossils on the roadside. So it's all about kind of the fallout that occurs after that, their relationship, which is already strained, and just sort of some of the social pieces of it, and also cultural pieces that have to go, that fold into, when a white Westerner is in Morocco and accident or not, kills a young boy. It's a fascinating watch. It's really captivating in a lot of ways. It doesn't go anywhere really for me. I felt like it kind of circled the point and never quite got there. But the performances are great. Don't get me wrong. Christopher Abbott, shout out to him because I really enjoy him as an actor, and I thought he was just in his element here, playing sort of like a Playboy type guy who is wooing wooing women and is just kind of there. But he was really good. He really good. It's a definite good watch, and definite recommendation from me because of the performances. The story, I think, I can see why some people will get some positive out of it and feel good about it at the end. I just felt like it took a weird path to get where it ended up, and I wasn't thrilled with it. It is an adaptation of a book as well, so that's always tough. But I wonder if the book would have delivered it a little bit, or if the book does deliver it a little bit more satisfyingly.
There's always that thing where the book might deliver it the exact same way, and it just does not work as a movie. Which is always my theory on it. Where that worked in a book, but no, not really in a movie.
What do you got?
Because I haven't heard of that one, so I'm excited.
It was at Tribeca, I think.
Oh,
but I wasn't able to see it. And then I know some of our friends saw it at Toronto International Film Festival last year. So it's been making the rounds, but I don't know that it ever really picked up.
Yeah. Interesting. I'll check that out when it ventures into my area. But until then, I got on Netflix. Didn't realize the Sea Beast was out yet, so I turned on the Sea Beast. And this is why I should never text you too early while I'm watching a movie saying it's good, because I absolutely loved the first half of this. It was animated extremely well. The action was spectacular. It was exciting. It was interesting. It's suspenseful. And then, oh my God, did it stop dead? I was sort of. I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy shit, this got boring. And it got very predictable and sort of in a gnawing fashion. I almost don't care because of how well this is animated and how good that first half is. It's really still worth watching. It is pretty much almost a carbon copy of How to Train Your Dragon, which, if you're going to copy an animated movie, that's the one to do. It's a solid movie to copy, but I'm one to always get surprised by movies. I never call a movie predictable, but there were just too many points where I was like, that's gonna, the voice acting was great. You got Carl Urban in there. You got Jared Harris, and Jared Harris did a spectacular job voice acting, really good. And there was some complicated characters, but man, I was really bummed out by the end. I was like, this movie could not hold its own that well. I was such a bummer. You saw this one. How did you feel about it?
I liked it a lot. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5. I felt like it really roped you in early on, and I agree. It kind of fell off a little bit, but I thought the story was still pretty solid. It focused a little bit more on the characters in the second half. The first half was more about the beasts and the lore of these wild beasts in the sea, and the second half was more about focusing on the humanity of the individuals involved. So I liked it. I thought it was pretty good for an original movie from Netflix. It sucks that Netflix just dismantled their animated wing in the layoffs and stuff, but
they suck so much.
Yeah, it was pretty solid for me. But yeah, here's hoping we get some more original animation like that. I think it's always refreshing when you see a good animated movie that's not from Pixar or Illumination.
Well, it was great because the animation was very different. I'm not sure what the animated studio was, or I guess it was literally the Netflix animated studio.
I think so.
It was something that was just kind of beautiful to watch. At first, it was off-putting. I was like, wait, what's going on? The characters look a little bit odd, but then you look at the water, you look at the way the monsters are constructed, and this scale they put on the monsters on several of the shots, which this one, you could pause it at any moment and it's breathtaking, really just beautiful stuff. So it's a shame that they're going to be just slashing their animation budget.
Yeah. So I'm seeing that they have, I'm trying to see what they have going on. It is Netflix animation. It looks like there are a number of things in development and upcoming. These are television series. Let's see. I guess Pinocchio is technically under them.
Oh, well, and this is where it gets so weird because what did they buy versus what did they help create?
I know.
Because Del Toro's doing that and it's stop motion, which could be. I think it's the Netflix umbrella is a strange one to figure out.
And here's what's interesting too: for the Sea Beast, it lists animation services as Sony Pictures ImageWorks.
Yeah, see, I can imagine there's something. And they they hire that. I don't know. I'm sort of talking out my ass, but I can assume they hire that company, and yet it's still a Netflix original movie that they developed.
Sony Pictures ImageWorks also did Over the Moon, that came out in 2020.
Yeah.
But they also are going to be moving into a lot more of the Dr. Seuss catalog. They had that big partnership, so I think we'll be seeing more animated in that sense. I'm sure they're probably just going to refocus and not take these original swings quite as much, but focus on the IP that they paid money for.
Well, I wonder, they also paid for Roald Dahl, so they might do a few. I know they might want to do live action for those, but they might do a few animated.
Maybe it's Roald Dahl that I'm thinking of. I know they're doing Dr. Seuss stuff, but I wonder, like Roald Dahl, I'm sure they're going to do some stuff with that as well. They already have the Matilda the musical movie coming out. Which looks delightful because that musical is great.
I've never seen the musical, so I'm excited to check that out. Yeah.
It's so good. There's 2 songs in there that just get me every time, and one of them's featured heavily in the trailer. So, all right, let's move into what we've been watching. What news stories have been dropping for the past week, and we need to start off with just teach me about the Emmys. What do I need to care about?
So I figured out how they nominate the Emmys. What the Academy does is, and this is not even close to a joke, although it's going to sound like it, the Academy votes for as many as they want. Huh. And yeah, they don't vote for 5 like a normal Oscars would do, but they just vote for as many as they want. And then the leading 5 get it, which sounds sort of kind of like pure insanity, but that would sort of make sense on what happened in a lot of these categories. Obviously, we don't have time to go through all the categories. Just to say that, like limited series, White Lotus, every actor there got nominated, and they didn't really share the wealth. And then the other actors that got nominated were from Dopesick, and then maybe occasionally something peppered in. This could be my rant, but I'll just say this right now. It's insane that Inventing Anna got nominated for like limited series, and Station 11 or Made or We Own This City did not get nominated, which are just like top tier television, and just this instead gets nominated. Inventing Anna, which is just, I guess popular, or one of those things where it's like, hey, it's so bad that it got a lot of attention, and so people clicked on it, which really unfortunately could be the case. Good news for Abbott Elementary. This is a network show. Network shows don't even exist anymore, according to the Emmys. And that's true with This Is Us. But Abbott Elementary got on there as a comedy, and a lot of the people got on there. I think it's like a good, wholesome show. I still can't watch it because I'm going through a lot with teaching right now, and I actually had issues watching that show. Like I couldn't go through it. And so, I'm happy that other people are watching it. Everyone should. I think it's a spectacular comedy from the episode I saw, but that's it. And then, drama is nothing exciting. It's Succession, Severance got a lot, which is cool. Severance could have gotten more, which I would have liked, but I don't know. It's tough. I got to do I'm going to do my reaction column this week. So that's my little advertisement for it. Cause at this point, otherwise we would be here all day if I wanted to dive into that. But do you have any reactions or anything to it?
Nothing really, except it just, I guess I have no way of qualifying how this change should be made. I get tired of seeing the same shows nominated every year. Mm-hmm. We're very much in the Ted Lasso realm of things. And I haven't watched Ted Lasso, so I'm sure that I would probably, I know I'd love it from what people tell me. But even when Veep would get nominated all the time, or Joy Louis-Dreyfus, it gets tiring because there's so many other good things out there. And if you have a voting body for the Emmys that are going to vote for Julia Louis-Dreyfus one year and they really like her, they're probably going to like her the next, unless she really delivers a shit performance. So I think that just is what bothers me with these, because unlike the Oscars, where you get every year is different in terms of the movies that you're going to have to consider, the series, depending on how long they go, it could just be like Groundhog Day every year. And that's kind of what bothers me with this. I would have liked to see some of the younger actors get more involved in the nominations. I mean, of course, Zendaya, I think, just became the youngest producer ever nominated as well, which is great. She's just a talent. But, I keep joking around justice for Sadie Sink, because I think anyone out of Stranger Things, out of all the people in Stranger Things, she's the one that I would have liked to see get it. Because that one, the one episode I just keep going back to, is amazing. Also, they were playing Running Up the Hill or whatever in the grocery store the other day. I was like,
they would have never done that a year ago.
You're here?
In response to your Groundhog Day thing, that it is like a pretty solid problem that we get. I mean, like a lot of these are return nominations. I mean, Curb Your Enthusiasm is on its 11th season and has been nominated every single season. And I mean, damn it is Curb Your Enthusiasm and it's really good. But it's tough to see things come back, especially like several of the the actors and actresses come back. Like the one that got me frustrated this year is like nobody gives a shit about the marvelous Mrs. Maisel anymore. I'm certain of it. Like that was a cool hit in the first few seasons, but nobody cares. I will say Emmys have gotten better. Back in the 90s, it was literally like West Wing Friends, West Wing Friends, West Wing, West Wing, West Wing Friends. And it was just like this constant, like it was like, oh, yep, they got the drama again. Oh, they got the comedy again. Maybe Frasier would jump in there and squeeze his ass in there. But like pretty much it would always be the same level. But I look at it, there's several new ones, but because there's so much TV, like Severance will squeak in and Yellow Jackets will squeak in and some stuff, but there'll be the common things. I think it's worse, like something like Julia Dreyfus in Veep, I'm almost okay with, but when you get Sarah Paulson coming in every single time for something like impeachment, where like that's just freaking stupid, and so it's like she just gets nominated for reading the phone book. Same with Reese Witherspoon and more. I always say Morning Glory, morning show, which God help that entire show, but
not your favorite.
I think the one saving grace is like Billy Crudup is good in it and Jennifer Aniston is good in it, but like Reese is not. And like, I mean, I love Reese, power to her, please win awards. You're great, but like not at this. The other one is the Killing Eve ladies, which both of them got in, Sandra Oh and Jodie Comer, where everybody hated the finale of that show. Like, I mean, hated, including myself. Like, it's just a terrible finale. That doesn't reflect the performances necessary, but I do think, unfortunately, there's people that do just say like, oh, Sandra and Jodie Comer are popular, and so they check those off because they don't watch everything, which I could argue that it's tough to watch everything, but I don't know. If you're an Academy member, I'd freaking watch everything. Like I almost watch everything, so you can. If it's not their job, but it's their duty.
Yeah, it's frustrating. The other one that I was surprised by, and I never watched anything past a couple episodes in the first season, but This Is Us got no love.
That's very surprising
for its final season, which is kind of fascinating to me. But we'll see. When are the Emmys?
They are in September. I don't have the exact date, but I am very worried that they are on a Monday. And when they're on a Monday, they're always on my back to school night. And so I remember I missed when Barry swept. I was like that was quite a few years back. But I was just like, please don't be on. I really hope they're not on Monday. If they are, I'm gonna be. Why would they be on a Monday? But sometimes they are.
September 12th, 2022.
Which is, God damn it, it's a Monday. Now, oh my God, it's not been confirmed yet, but 100% that'll be the back to school night where I have to like sit there for like 10 minutes and tell like the parents, be like, this is what I teach our children. Like, oh God, like I'm gonna miss
goodbye.
Yeah, math, go. I'm trying to see who wins.
All right, let's transition to some of the more, I guess, interesting news stories. That's so mean. That's so mean.
Thanks, bud.
No, I'm kidding. Emmys are fascinating. I think the whole process is fascinating. I get tired of. I just feel like they need a revamp. I think the Emmys and the Oscars need a revamp.
It's so tough because like when you do that stuff, like with the Emmys especially, it's like only like I've been thinking like only 3 actors from this series should get nominated, or only like 1 actor in each category. But then you have something like White Lotus where it's annoying that 5 actresses were nominated for White Lotus, but all of those nominations are deserved. And so, it's one of these things where like, oh, where does it end? And the same thing with like, hey, maybe only Ted Lasso season 1 is good, so they can't be nominated for season 2. What if season 2 is better? What if their final season's really good?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I wanted to, don't get me wrong, because like, hearing the same nominations every year, it's worse than the Oscars, because the Oscars, you may get similar types of movies, and like maybe like, Meryl Streep will get another nomination, but at least it'll be in something different and stuff like that. So the Emmys are difficult with that kind of aspect, without a doubt.
What was the I sent you a category and was like, wow, that's a packed one. Oh, yeah, Alexander Daddario got nominated. Alexander Daddario.
Yeah, so that's the it's supporting actress in a limited series. It's literally 5 White Lotus ladies and 2 Dope Sick ladies.
Caitlin Dever, Mare Winningham for Dope Sick, and then Sydney Sweeney, Natasha Rothwell, Alexandra Daddario, Jennifer Coolidge, and Connie Britton.
It's like, who are you gonna knock out of that one? It's like, those are 5 awesome performances.
I can't believe that Reno 911, The Hunt for QAnon, got nominated because that was a fucking terrible movie. That was a terrible movie. But Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
After the dust settles, I'm gonna have an article about how we need to get rid of the Emmy TV category because look at that bullshit that's on there. It's horrible.
What, for television movie?
Yeah.
Zoe's Extraordinary Christmas. Oh, the Roku channel. Go Roku channel.
Exactly.
The Survivor, which you didn't care for.
But even that one is like this like very cinematic movie, and like it's just kind of unfair to like the TV movies, including, and this one didn't get nominated, but The Fallout, like, which was an exceptional HBO Max movie. Oh God.
Chippendale Rescue Rangers, though.
That is great. I hope that wins. I really hope that wins.
Me too. What a surprise. All right, so switching gears here, we have a story about an upcoming Netflix film that will be directed by Sir David Yates. He's not a sir. But this is called Pain Hustlers, and it will star, I love this pairing, by the way. It will star Chris Evans and Emily Blunt. Chris Evans, who can rock a mustache in The Gray Man really well. We'll talk about that next week or whatever. But yeah, this is a story about Liza Drake. So it follows Liza Drake, played by Blunt, who's a high school dropout dreaming of a better life for her and her young daughter. Liz lands a job with a failing pharmaceutical startup in a yellowing strip mall in Central Florida. Yellowing strip mall is very fascinating to me. Her charm, guts, and drive catapult the company and her into the high life, where she soon finds herself at the center of a criminal conspiracy with deadly consequences. I'm having deja vu. Did we talk about this last week?
We might have actually. Will Blunt have an English accent, and therefore Evans also has to have an English accent, or the other way around?
Well, are they together in this though?
Oh,
I don't think they're together. I think he's playing a bad guy again.
Well, when you want to make an omelet,
you gotta kill some people.
So this is interesting. Like, first of all, like the quick joke of Sir David Yates. How is he not a sir yet after like basically catapulting the boy wizard into the highest of popularity? But regardless of that, it'll be interesting to see like what he does outside of that universe. Mm-hmm. He makes movies that are visually stunning, even if I may not like what's going on in them. They do look great, and so they're well done with their action. So it will be interesting to see what he does with the yellowing strip mall. But I don't know. Like you're right; these two together are kind of like amazing. Like they're like
both great actors,
like just great on their own. But they definitely both have like the fun nature to them, the action nature to them. They both have conquered like different franchises, different movies. They both could be a blast. I'm looking forward to this, honestly. Like it could be a fun. I mean, Netflix action movies, like those can get a little dicey for me. I'm hoping. I don't say anything. I can't. Oh God, I don't want to know. But like, who knows? Maybe I'll open my heart to it though.
This is the writer's first screenplay. It's an adaptation. So I'm wondering, is it originally a book or something, or is it a story? Is it being described as something similar to The Big Short and American Hustle? We did talk about this at some point because you and I remember you saying, well, they're different tones.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm interested in this. I love both of those actors, so I will be very happy to see it. What's interesting, though, and I just realized this in reading this article on comingsoon.net, is that Chris Evans is also going to be in that film Ghosted, which is going to be on Apple TV Plus, I believe. And he was supposed to co-star with Scarlett Johansson, who had to drop out. And Ana de Armas joined him, and Ana de Armas is also in The Gray Man. So kind of interesting how that's working. Wow. And then he's going to be in a space race film, Project Artemis, which reunites him with Scarlett Johansson. So yeah, there we go.
So he's just like doesn't really want to take a day off then.
Good, because he's just so charismatic and fun.
Remember when he used to like do like the Marvel movie and then an indie, the Marvel movie and then an indie? Yeah. I think he's now just like going for every like big budget like action movie, and he's just like, yeah, I don't really want the indies anymore. Those didn't really make money.
They didn't make money. Well, speaking of Marvel, let's dive into some stories associated with that beast. First and foremost is one that just broke a little while ago, which I don't understand this, but Daniel Kaluuya is not going to be in Black Panther 2 apparently due to scheduling conflicts. And this Black Panther 2 is titled Wakanda Forever, and it comes out November 11th. And a Disney representative has confirmed this as well. I'm kind of like, I guess I'm getting worried about this movie.
Yeah.
Because there's just a lot of stuff attached to it. Like, obviously, first and foremost, the late Chadwick Boseman, they have to wrestle with that story and how they're going to, honor him as Black Panther, but also move the story forward. But then you also have the fact that, like, Daniel Kaluuya, who was pretty significant in the first movie, is just not going to be there. Like, he just disappeared from Wakanda, I guess. Or like he's, I don't know, on vacation during the movie. And then you have the rest of the stuff that's going on with, what's her name?
Letitia Wright.
Letitia Wright. I was going to say Lupita Nyong'o, but I'm like, she's not the problem. Letitia Wright and all this stuff that happened around, I think some of the shit that she had said, as well as an onset injury that she had, and I think wasn't she against vaccinations? Wasn't that a big thing?
Well, that also slowed production, I think, because fantastic.
So crazy. This upsets me because I do like Daniel Kaluuya. I think he's a good actor. He has that like kind of dark and brooding air about him in all of his roles. So it'll be interesting to see how he is in Nope coming up. But this is a shame.
He was really good in Black Panther, and that character was really important and essential. And like, it's going to be really like that character really did drive the theme a lot of the way of like, hey, do we bring this to the other worlds? Do we open up like our gates and everything like that? And he was kind of like someone that like really like held that message. I'm baffled by this news coming out now because it is July and this movie comes out in November, and it's like, shouldn't they have like been done filming, nevertheless not scheduling the filming? I mean, unless this is an announcement we're getting much later.
I think that's the case because we're getting a trailer. We're getting a trailer next weekend at Comic-Con. So I mean, it's assuming we're getting a trailer. So
it's just odd that this stuff, that news does not come out earlier. And like, I guess, that's good. Okay, good. I'm glad to know that they're not starting filming when the movie's coming out in November. That's good news. But I'm like sort of, it was just perplexing that this news came out now, and it just made me turn my head. And it's a shame that it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
This movie does sound like it's kind of going through hell right now. I mean, like, in Coogler we trust, but still.
I'm concerned. We don't know anything about it. That's the other thing. Like, there's nothing to kind of, aside from the casting. We don't even know all the casting.
Apparently, we don't know that.
Aside from, like, we don't even know who the big bad is in this movie. I think everyone's assuming that it's going to be, oh my gosh, what's his name? The Aquaman.
The fish
Marvel.
beast. Yeah.
Not the fish beast.
Fishman. Oh,
Marvel's,
the deep.
What?
The deep.
It's not the deep. I can't remember. Namor the submariner or submariner. Namor is the name.
Submariner.
Namor is rumored to be played by Tenoch Huerta. Tenoch Huerta was in such projects as The Forever Purge, Narcos Mexico.
Oh.
And that's pretty much it.
All the hits.
All hits. But yeah, he's been, and I guess there was a mock-up of art or something that came out a little while ago, was leaked, and he's like playing around online, joking about it. So all signs are pointing to like that's going to be the focus of the film. And if you remember back in Endgame, there is a comment about an earthquake off the coast of Wakanda.
Oh yeah.
So that's probably going to get this going. So I'm interested in what this could be because it just seems, it's a big hill. It's a big hill to climb after the first one, and it worries me.
I feel like they had something prepared without Boseman, and so I think they were, there was something there, but it just, I don't know. At this point, it seems like there's been just so many other problems that I'm just worried about this one.
But listen, I mean, in a week and a half, if we get a trailer on that Saturday that Marvel's doing all of its stuff at San Diego Comic-Con, and it blows me out of the water, then I could suddenly be very excited. So we'll see what happens. Another one that's coming down the pike for Marvel that we heard a little bit about after Falcon and the Winter Soldier is Captain America 4, starring Anthony Mackie as the new Captain America. This is a film that is written by Falcon and the Winter Soldier's creator, Malcolm Spellman, as well as one of the staff writers, Dallin Musan. And we don't know anything about the plot, but we do now know that there is a director attached, and that is Julius Ona. Julius Ona is most notable, I would say, in terms of the movie Loose, which was a really, really good movie that came out in 2019 at Sundance. and really just has a lot of great social commentary in it. And what's her name's in that as well? It's
Octavia Spencer.
Who's the guy?
Oh, Kelvin Harrison Jr.
Kelvin Harrison Jr. Yeah. I really enjoyed that movie. So I'm excited to see kind of where he takes things. The downside is he also did the Cloverfield Paradox, but that I think had a lot of other shit going on with it too.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens. But there's no real word on when this is coming. But we do know that it's coming down the line. So.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because you're right. Cloverfield Paradox sounds like something that like was a movie that was then just gutted to death and then like thrown onto Netflix like a grenade getting like launched. And it just seemed like that was just something that was great. He did a great job with Loose. You're allowed to have a bad movie as a director. All great directors have bad. You're allowed to have bad movies. It's okay. The optics bother me. I mean, Cloverfield Paradox is just so goddamn bad. It still worries me to this day. But I'm still excited for it.
Do you remember when they dropped the Cloverfield Paradox right after the Super Bowl?
And I fell for it like a fucking moron. I was just like, so cool, another Cloverfield movie. And then I think I watched it that night like an idiot. And I was like, what the hell?
I was like, oh my God, this is going to be great. So a lot of stuff going on in Marvel world right now. The next story that we're going to dive into is the return of Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio in the Echo series that's coming up. And so it's been rumored for a while that we're going to see Daredevil back. Kingpin isn't necessarily dead at the end of the Hawkeye series, spoiler alert. And we are getting an Echo series, which I'm excited for because I really like Hawkeye. I like that character in there as well. So I would like to see more. And they really set it up at the end of, I think, the last episode. She has that confrontation with Kingpin. So I'm looking forward to that. It's cool that we're getting sort of Daredevil. I like this approach. I like that they're not just throwing another season of Daredevil out there and, hitting us with whatever changes are going to be made since it's a Disney Plus Marvel show as opposed to a Netflix Marvel show. But they're kind of easing him back in, whether that's, starting with Spider-Man No Way Home, and the brief cameo he has in there, or however much he's used in this series. I'm excited for it. I still have to watch all the Daredevil shows, but I like what I've seen from him.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned on the pod before that I stopped watching Daredevil at season 3 because it was just like once, I guess semi-spoilers, but once you bring characters back from the dead, you lose me a little bit. And so I'm like, at that point I get a little bit annoyed, but regardless, the first 2 seasons are spectacular. And, Charlie Cox is great in them. And so it'll be interesting to see what he can do with the Disney Plus series. I'll be looking forward to like how that goes. There's some people that have been worried about this distracting from the main character Echo. I think that's unfortunately quite inevitable.
Yeah. I get that.
And it's tough because I totally do understand that. I hope that, there's, honestly, the best thing they could do is those two, Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, show up immediately. Don't make this a thing where it's like, every single episode we're like, is this going to be the one? Is this going to be the one? Is this going to be the one? So that like we can enjoy the action, we can enjoy everything, and we're not just like analyzing a grainy photograph like with Hawkeye. So I don't know. I still am very excited for this. I think the Echo series is going to be really great. I think that character was wonderful. And so, they can go well.
Here's hoping. It's just yet again a lot going on in Marvel. There's just so much happening.
Yeah.
Even in one series, like, come on, give us a break. The last story in Marvel Land is that I always pronounce this name incorrectly, but young Han Solo himself, Alden Ehrenreich, has joined the Ironheart series, and what they're saying is a key role. So that's kind of cool because I'm hoping that means that he'll stick around after the Ironheart series. Ironheart's also in Wakanda Forever, by the way. So there's a lot going on.
Just throw it in.
But there's really no information regarding what his role is other than it's a key role. So that's exciting. Dominique Thorne is starring as Ironheart, and she'll be playing Riri Williams. Anthony Ramos is in this as the villain, I believe, which I forgot about. I'm very excited about Anthony Ramos. Manny Montana and Lyric Ross from This Is Us. So I'm excited, I guess. I like him. I like Alden a lot. I think he was given the short end of the stick when it came to Solo, and needs to get back into something with a little bit more exposure. I mean, he's going to be in Elizabeth Banks' movie Cocaine Bear.
That one's still happening.
That is still a thing. And then he's also going to be in Oppenheimer.
Oh, Oppenheimer. Okay, yeah, he is because everyone else is. I'm looking forward. I'm happy. This sounds like a dumb statement, but I'm happy this guy's getting work because, like
Agreed.
you said, he really did get a short shrift with the Solo movie. People were like, "Oh, it's his fault that it was bad." First of all, it wasn't bad, but second of all, it's like it wasn't at all like this guy's fault. If anything, there was production issues when you decided to fire the directors because they wanted to make choices, and so that's like the main issue that I could be had with that movie if you were going to have something. But yeah, so that really does annoy me about it. But I'm very happy because I think he was great in Hail Caesar. He was really great character. So I just hope he can have some fun with this stuff and be in another major property.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. Let's see kind of what we get from him. I'm on this Kathleen Kennedy bashing romp right now. And one of the things that annoys me, we talked about this weeks ago, but it was when she made the comment that they've learned their lesson from trying to recast roles, or meaning trying to cast people as younger versions of established characters. But then she turned around and was like, Childish Gambino, we're ready for you to come back if you ever want to do that Young Lando series. So I just feel again, people assumed that or took that as she wasn't happy with Alden Ehrenreich's performance. And I think that's unfair because I thought he did a good job with it.
Yeah, he was fine. Yeah, he did a pretty good job with Solo. Yeah, but,
that movie had stuff going on behind the scenes. So. Yeah,
the tough part with that is that he was literally Harrison Ford's age when he started Star Wars. So it's you just basically have to do a digital Harrison Ford at some point.
True. Last story, stepping out of Marvel world is I don't know about this. It's about Top Gun Maverick and a potential threequel. And this is, I guess, when Miles Teller was talking to Entertainment Tonight, and Miles Teller plays Rooster, who's the son of Maverick's late friend Goose in the first movie. He basically mentioned that they've been having some conversations, him and Tom Cruise, about a potential third Top Gun. So I assume that we'll see that in 2050 or something.
Yeah, exactly, based on the pace.
But what I'm kind of let's not. You got a good thing going here. It just passed Titanic for Paramount's biggest film ever, highest grossing film ever. So that's pretty fucking huge. Granted, inflation's really bad right now, but I don't want to see this. Quite honestly, I don't want to see it. I think that the movie Top Gun Maverick did a good job with the characters, wrapped it up enough that I don't need to see what happens moving forward.
It would be lovely if this didn't happen, but when you make this much money, you make a sequel. Yeah. It's they made Titanic 2. I mean, it's one of those things where it's
Titanic 3
and Titanic 3, Titanic 666. It's one of these fascinating things where will they have the integrity to not do this, or will they properly do this with the new cast and do it right? It just won't be as good. Even if it is as good, it won't be considered as good just because this one was so good that it's going to be really difficult to try to top it, even if they do. And I think we're experiencing that with Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, and however people think about it. It's well, it didn't do better. It's not as good as Ragnarok, so it's the worst movie I've ever seen.
Right.
And so people are going to use that logic on a Top Gun Maverick 3. And I just really hope they call it Top Gun Rooster. But it's just one of these things where it's just not going to work as well. But unfortunately, we live in Hollywood is a business, and
we live in a society.
We live in a society. We live in a Hollywood, and that Hollywood wants to make money. And unfortunately, mostly all they see is money. There's a little bit of integrity out there for some art, but not all of it, and probably not Top
money,
Gun.
money.
It speaks the language.
Money. Yeah, I don't want to see it. That's pretty much my summary of that story. Let's get into our rants and raves. And I have one that I've been stewing on a little bit. And this goes back to Thor, Love and Thunder a little bit, but also some of the other films that have come out in Marvel Phase 4. I think it's really fascinating what's happening with the MCU right now. And I think there's a couple things that are going on. One is I think that people aren't receiving Phase 4 as well as they received other phases. And I think there's multiple reasons for that. I think there's also a lot of fatigue going on when it comes to Marvel. You have the added component of the Marvel TV, Marvel Disney Plus series. Most recently, Miss Marvel wrapped up today, and then what's next? She-Hulk in August, right? So that's coming down the pike. So there's just a lot going on. That's even before we get to Wakanda Forever in November. Hopefully that actually happens in November. I'm a little concerned now that we're getting these reports at this point in time. So it's really fascinating though, because I remember back when, the MCU, the early critics of the MCU, the ones that were criticizing stuff that it was doing back in, phase 3 and stuff. One of the comments was, all of the films have the same structure. All of the films have the same big bad type villain that they're focusing on. And they all kind of end up at a happy place, save for Infinity War. In phase 4, we knew that we were going to start getting new characters introduced and that we were going to go in different places, or 2 different places cinematically. One being the fact that we're getting different directors that are stepping in and stepping up to the plate. Chloe Zhao doing Eternals, Bassam Tariq, who's going to be doing the upcoming Blade film. Waititi coming in with Ragnarok, as well as doing, he did Ragnarok in phase 3, but doing Love and Thunder recently. And so it's really fascinating because if a Marvel movie isn't received 100% acclaim and people aren't freaking out about it, then the conversation suddenly turns to the death of the MCU. Like, are we done? Is it dying? Is it going crazy? Like, what's happening? And I guess my question is it dying, or is it just that they're doing things differently? As had been asked for quite a while, they're doing things differently, and people are not responding either A, well to the changes, or B, are not liking these new characters and what's going on. I think Eternals is a prime example of that. It's kind of funny. There's some dialogue going on now online about was Eternals really as bad as people originally said it was? And someone posted earlier, this was the other day I saw this, but they're like, yeah, Eternals was really good. We've been here since day one saying that. And I've been saying that since day one. I really enjoyed Eternals. But I think, what we're seeing is they are taking different shots. We had Sam Raimi come back for Doctor Strange and a Multiverse of Madness. Different approach. It's their first horror movie, so to speak. We are opening up the multiverse. We are introducing new characters like Miss Marvel. We are getting new characters like the Eternals. The Celestials are there. We were introduced to them before, but they're going to play hopefully a larger role moving forward. We have the Black Knight coming. We have Blade coming back. We are going to get mutants down the road. We know that's coming. The X-Men are coming. Fantastic Four are coming. So there's a lot of stuff that's coming, and they're building up to, I guess what everyone wants to see based off of the story that came out a while ago from Kevin Feige saying there's hints there as to where we're going. But you'll understand the full picture coming up. I imagine that's going to be either Comic-Con or D23 that we're going to sort of get the roadmap fed to us. But I guess I want everyone to hold their horses a little bit, because I'm getting really frustrated with this dialogue of, is the MCU dying? No, the MCU is not dying, because it's such a strange product in that even if you're not liking a movie and you're not liking what you're hearing, you're going to go see the movie and it's still going to make that money. And so you're still buying the product but bitching about it. And I know that there's people that didn't like Thor: Love and Thunder very well, but have seen it multiple times. So it's just a really interesting place we are with Marvel, and I think Marvel has disrupted the cinema in general. But Marvel also is trying to figure out how to advance itself forward without cannibalizing itself and doing too much of the same thing that's going to bore people. So it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't, where if you make changes, people may not be receptive to them, or do things differently, I should say. Or if you stay true to what you've been doing and continue following the same methods and same molds, then you're going to get the complaints that they've been getting since the beginning, that all of the movies are very similar and all the movies kind of follow the same structure. So I do not think this is the death of the MCU. I think that they have the money and the goodwill built up, that they're able to take some swings and introduce new ways of telling this similar stories when it comes to the superheroes that we're introduced to. And I think that what we're going to start seeing is just we'll see a build up to some major conflict again, but it may be different than the first 3 phases. And I think that that's an okay thing. I kind of like being out on this island, not really knowing where we're going right now. But also, thinking about all the different threads that have been introduced, and I want to see where it goes. So No, it's not dying. But I think my rant, the point of my rant is, I think we need to be a little bit more open to the different products that we're seeing come out, and everyone's fine. You know, you're totally allowed not to like something. But I think jumping straight to the death of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is a little bit extreme.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess, like, the reason people could cause concern is because for the past 3 phases, or the first 3 phases, literally all led up to Avengers Endgame. And it was just kind of like everything was Thanos, literally from the end of the first phase until, like, everything else was, like, all Thanos. And now it's like, okay, we stopped and we are doing something different. And that is freaking people the hell out. Because, you know, I think the one issue with the MCU is an issue that I'm very much, I think I said this at the beginning, but I love this issue, is that these are their own separate properties, right? Or not separate properties, but their own separate stories and their own separate characters. And you're right, like, especially through the Eternals, a lot of them are going to start connecting, and a lot of them are going to get a little bit larger. And you can't say that that's the death of it yet until that actually screws up. Because right now, it seems like quite the task, but we haven't seen it screw up yet. So we can't really say death yet.
We're just getting the building blocks right now, you know, and I think that that's okay. Not every movie has to be about the end of the world and building up to, like, end game level shit. And that's what Thor is, really. Like, Thor, you know, that's the villain in Thor. Christian Bale's Gore is a really serious villain and is trying to kill all the gods, and that's, you know, I guess serious. But it's also a very contained story, and that is refreshing after seeing so much, you know, multiversal connections and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm interested to see where they go. I'm remaining optimistic, which is really funny because I just had a conversation with a friend earlier about not being optimistic when it comes to, like, free agency day for the National Hockey League, because our team never does anything. I'm like, why?
Slightly different.
No, not really. Because I'm like, why are you hurt? Like, don't theorize about all this stuff. Why are you going to put yourself through that pain when it doesn't happen? And, you know, maybe that's what's going to happen with Marvel, is I'm expecting a lot of connections and a lot of things to flesh out, and they're going to be okay. But if they're not okay, I'm going to get hurt.
I guess that's a good way to look at it, yeah.
Sean, you got a rant.
I got a rant. There was a really cool trailer for a movie called Amsterdam with a great cast. It looks like it's a lot of fun, and it's directed by David O. Russell. So if there's anybody that wants to bitch about cancel culture, shut up, because it ain't working. Because David O. Russell should not really be able to be allowed to make movies. And something tells me, based on the development, this is his first film before, like, the Me Too, or since the Me Too movement. Something tells me this will probably be his last, based on the negative press, like, he's going to be getting and is already getting. But David O. Russell has been abusive on set for years and years and years. There's literally videos of him with Lily Tomlin during I Heart Huckabees. George Clooney has said things. Amy Adams has said things on the set of American Hustle. In fact, Christian Bale had to get in the way and protect Amy Adams. Interesting, Christian Bale's in this movie. I'm not gonna get into actors' reasons for working with a director, but there's also he also admitted himself that he groped his transgender niece. This guy's kind of like, there's a level of no good that this guy is, and it bothers me because I thought we've kind of dealt with this shit and we know how to get this out. And it seems like, oh no, just a ton of actors want to work with this guy, and, like, he's still able to make a major motion picture. A part of me just really doesn't want to see this. I'll have artistic curiosity enough to still see it, so there's a hypocrisy in my lungs, and my apologies for it. I don't think this guy's a good enough director to keep around either. I mean, he's made movies I like, but he's not someone that's like an auteur at all. So I don't understand why this guy is around, but it's just, it baffles me because, you know, like, I thought, like, Hollywood was, like, basically just, like, pure idiocy when it came to the Harvey Weinstein stuff, because way too many people knew about that, and nobody decided to take that down. And, like, I'm not going to boycott movies because of it, but it is just a disgusting. And then also, you know, I recently found out also, and this doesn't relate to David O. Russell, but Apple TV is coming out with an animated movie called Luck. Skydance Animation is headed by John fucking Lasseter. How are these people getting jobs? And I don't understand how that stuff can be happening. And like it's just like truly disgusting. And it's one of these things where I'm just like, Hollywood, get your shit together. Like with this, like this shouldn't have happened. And once again, I understand that development could have been happening where like people just don't know things enough. Like I recently found out about some of the really horrible things with David O. Russell recently, although I did know about the other shit like way beforehand. Like I've seen the Lily Tomlin videos and stuff. So I've got a hypocrisy going on with myself there. But still, there's some of the new stuff is just like absolutely horrible, and it's disgusting.
It's saying, I'm looking it up as you're talking, and side note, there's a really funny article titled "A Brief History of David O. Russell Being a Piece of Shit," and that's on Gawker, of course.
Yeah, there we go.
But apparently, in 2012, David O. Russell's 19-year-old niece Nicole Peliquin accused the director of fondling her breasts and placing his hands near her genitals. Adding to the abhorrence, Russell prodded his niece about her ongoing transition. After she had described the hormones she was using, the director slipped his hand under her shirt to feel her breasts. The director didn't dispute the incident, only adding that Peliquin was acting very provocative towards him. He did not face any charges. Ugh. What the fuck? Ugh. And trigger warning and apologies to anyone listening who that affects, but what the fuck?
Like this guy, like it's just so disgusting that, this guy like makes movies and is allowed to make movies. And, it's just interesting because at this point, like, it's like, this would have been, back in like 4 or 5 years ago, this would have been considered a awards fodder. And instead it's now this is going to get nothing and like get very little attention and good.
It really frustrates me too, though, because there is like all the big names that are acting in there, and specifically like Taylor Swift being in that, given some of her background and the battles that she's had. This is really frustrating.
It, like, just when I saw the trailer and I saw like the list of people and some people we really genuinely like and are like really like good actors and stuff. I think the guy I will mispronounce his name completely, but from the Army of the Dead movie, Matthias Army of Thieves, he's in that, and it's just like I'm kind of like blown away that this is like actually going on, like happening in general. Yeah.
Oh God, frustrating.
So fuck David O. Russell is my rant.
Okay.
In the most eloquent of ways.
We'll take that. Sean, lots of stuff coming out this week.
Woo-hoo.
Lots of stuff. This is a good week, I think. You have the Bob's Burgers movie, which hit Hulu and HBO Max. Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris hits theaters on Friday. Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank hits theaters on Friday. The Deer King hits theaters. Where the Crawdads Sing hits theaters. One Up hits Prime Video. This is a movie I remember following when it first was announced. And it's essentially a gaming movie about, like, I think Ruby Rose is in it. But essentially she leads a team of an all-female team of gamers to take down like the men, like the chauvinistic men's team or whatever. So sounds kind of fun. It's called One Up. Don't Make Me Go hits Prime Video, and then The Gray Man hits limited theaters before it hits Netflix next week. Are you going to be able to see The Gray Man in theaters?
It doesn't look like it's. Since I've gotten an AMC theater now, it seems like I don't get any of those fun little limited ones anymore, which has been kind of like Marcellus Shell is still missing, which I'm starting to get really peeved about.
It's starting to expand a little bit more, but it's doing really well for its limited run.
Like, get that damn thing out in theater. I want to see that movie. I'm going nuts.
The violence that I feel in my body when I see someone say that they're going to see it, I'm like, if this isn't a perfect review.
Oh, so I expect from you after I give it an A, I expect the thank God.
Thank God. I have that. It's just copy and paste from previous stuff. But yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm getting all these notifications right now about like Donald Trump and shit. I'm like, what's he doing now?
Oh God.
What's going on? Guys, check out our Patreon. Taking some time to kind of revamp what we're doing with that, but check it out. It is less than a cup of coffee to join for a month, and it goes a long way to supporting the pod. Link is in the bio for that. Sean, any good plans for the rest of the week?
Well, my wife is going to my sister's bachelorette party, so I will leave the couch.
What movie are you seeing this week, though?
Okay, so definitely Mrs. Harris Goes to Paris. Definitely Where the Crawdads Sing. And then I think that's all that's out. Mr. Malcolm's List came and went, which bums me out because I would have loved to have seen that. But that thing was like the week it came out was like 3 p.m. only, and then just freaking dotes out of there.
That sucks. Ugh, that's a pain in the ass. All right, Sean, we will chat soon. Everyone, drop a like, a comment. Let us know what you think of the episode. Subscribe to the podcast and help share the joy that is the Guy at the Movies podcast. Bye.
See you.
The Guy at the Movies podcast is a joint venture between Math Teacher Movies and Guy at the Movies. You can catch new episodes weekly right here wherever you're listening to this one. Subscribe so you never miss a beat.